Welcome to People Person, the show made by an HR diva for the HR people. I'm your host, Kate from HR, here to hold your hand, child, through another season of benefits, forms, and wait, what's a deductible again? Today, we're diving into the most wonderful time of the year, open enrollment season. Okay, maybe not the most wonderful, but definitely the most important. And to help us unpack it all, I've got the ultimate expert in the building, Melissa Foster, who is the VP and head of enrollment at Prudential Financial. Because let's be honest, y'all, ain't nobody reading the emails we are sending, but everybody and their mama have questions when the deadline hits. But before we get into that, I'm here to tell you all about your new people-focused, compliance-driven HR HQ, Equifax. They support your entire employee journey with holistic HR solutions. From onboarding to offboarding, they've got you covered. They have integrated tools to help simplify HR complexity, better protect and serve your people, and strengthen your organization. From hire to retire, they handle the entire employee lifecycle. They can even help you automate many of your critical HR functions to help ensure a smooth experience for each employee. Really, think about that for a second. You show up to work and I-9s are handled. Instead of boring paperwork, you get to get out there and be the people person the office needs. So do yourself a favor and check out Equifax.com/HRBrew today. That's Equifax.com/HRBrew. We are now joined by Melissa Foster, who is the VP and head of enrollment at Prudential Financial. Melissa, hey, our friend from Benefits, how are we feeling today?
I'm great. Thank you, Kate, for having me today. I'm really excited, with a title like mine. Anytime someone wants to talk about enrollment, I'm right there.
I love to hear it. And, it's a conversation that people outside of HR, they're like, oh, brother. But we have found our people, and I'm so glad that you are down for it. So we can jump right on in if you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
Cool. So look, assuming we obviously know the things, but let's just say someone is newer in the HR space. Mm-hmm. For the sake of definition, vocabulary, making sure we're all on the same page, what exactly is open enrollment and why would you consider it to be such a critical season for both HR teams and our employees?
Right. I think it makes sense to start with the foundations, right? So open enrollment is that annual window when millions of employees review and update their employer-sponsored benefits for the following year. So to me, it's like a look back period to think, okay, I have time to reflect on what my benefits were last year, if they've worked well for me, or make changes for the future because I know, maybe next year I'll be having a baby or I want to buy a house, so I need different benefits to support that. It's really critical for having that time to make those significant financial decisions because it does, let's be honest, benefits these days cost a lot of money and you need to be able to reflect on it. So I definitely think that's an important time of year, regardless of my title.
Yeah. And another reason why it's super important, although I think commonly open enrollment tends to be around November, October-ish, but there are also other companies where it's at different times of the year. It truly just depends on your organization's calendar with whatever healthcare provider or platform that they 100%. Partner with. But truly, y'all, the reason why it is so important, besides being well and healthy, there are deadlines, people. There are deadlines. I hear it laugh, so I'm sure you know all about it. Yeah, and I'm sure you know all about it. How important are these deadlines when it comes to open enrollment?
Yeah, so there's so much behind the scenes work that goes into allowing employees to make these decisions that it's really important to have a really clear timeline so that you can meet those deadlines to get out things like insurance cards and have all your payroll files working and ready to go for whatever your coverage effective date is. I like to caution everyone that we should be talking about enrollment in the summertime. And I know, I'm talking about it all year round, but for your annual enrollment, if it is in the traditional fall time that we're in right now, it should be talked about probably starting in early August, if not July. And reason being is that I think open enrollment is a time where HR leaders should really be making sure they're not just checking a box, but looking at it as a strategic moment to actually engage with employees and get them to understand all the work that goes into building that total rewards package, right? So one of the things that I always say that we should start with is defining our objectives, right? What are some quick measurable goals on what success really looks like? So, I like to say to my team, name your goals in August to prove your impact in November, right?
Ooh, I like
Especially
that.
if your performance management comes along. But then all the piece that you were kind of getting to around, if you're using an enrollment technology, they need to have time to get it all ready, right? If there's any rate changes, new plan designs you're offering, they need to be able to build that. And there's so many fun tools now that we can integrate into the enrollment flow to really engage employees. But it does take time, and we want to make sure everyone has a chance to test it and then it's ready to go. So it's a perfect experience for employees when they are enrolling.
That is super smart. And it makes me think of a question because I know amongst our HR folks, some people tell the truth about the deadline. Let's just say
Yep.
okay, deadline is October 15th, and that really is the deadline. And there are others where they, a little corporate white lie where they say, oh, the deadline's September 30th. And deep down, because we know our people. And so we're like, look, we got to build in that time. What say you, Melissa? What would you say is the better practice, especially given that you said starting in the summer for the fall?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's 100% a best practice to leave that time at the end of the enrollment that we call a silent enrollment period. That helps when anybody's going to come back, kind of what you alluded to in the beginning, right? And say, oh, I never saw the emails, right? It gives them that opportunity to log back in, enroll. It's something you've already decided on and alerted your benefits technology or your HRIS system so that they're aware that, we're going to give them a chance and then start the file process and all the things that have to be done post-enrollment there.
Yes.
So I definitely think that's a best practice.
Okay, I love that. And pro tip, if you were to move forward with that option that Melissa, the expert, has aligned and has said is definitely a great idea, you do not need to publicly tell America, aka your company, that there is a silent period. It is silent.
That's right. That's why we call it silent.
Okay.
Right.
The silent, the S in silent is a capital S. So just keep that real quiet. You can share that in a Slack or share that in an email. Yes, we'll make the exception for you. It's totally fine because you still want people to take this seriously. You don't want to build, a reputation of oh, HR always gives us a buffer time, so it's totally fine. This is a fake date. It's no. We're extremely serious. I'm going to need you to get these benefits, but we know on the HR tip, there's some grace. But once that grace is up, see you next year.
For sure. Yes. Yes. For sure. Yeah. And I do think one of the things that gets employees excited about enrollment is that they're hearing about benefits all year, which I know sounds like almost the opposite, right? You would think that it's oh, it's only this one time period. But if they're hearing about it all year and they realized because something happened, right? I remember my daughter fell and she got a concussion.
Oh, goodness.
And I went into lunch 2 days later into work and my friends were like, oh, well, go file an accident claim. And I was like, I didn't enroll in accident. But if I hadn't had that conversation and worked in the industry we work in, right, I would never have thought of it unless there's year-round communication. So if you're constantly reminding your employees of these benefits, then when open enrollment season comes around, they're going to go, oh yeah, I remember now, and they're going to take action. So it's really important, even though we're talking about open enrollment today, to have that benefits communication piece all year round.
I love that. So it's you are staying ready so you don't have to get ready. By the time you get there, it's just confirming.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. That's right.
Oh, so curious because I also can understand how sometimes employees may feel that as HR, we are sending too many things or talking too much about certain things. And so seeing that you have this practice of there's 12 months, so we're talking about it throughout the whole year. What would you give as a tip for us HR folks of the best practices and tips to have those conversations without making it feel like it's overbearing or stale?
Yeah.
So by the time we get to fall, people are just over it.
Oh my gosh. And I do hear this. This is a concern across the board. So what I would say is if you have an ecosystem with whatever it is that your benefits are built on, right? If it's an HRIS, Ben admin, whatever that is. If you have a place where employees are going consistently and a proven channel of communication where it doesn't feel like yet another benefits message, but it just feels like part of that already, that communication channel and ecosystem that you've built for your company, that's really the best way to do it. If they're just like little plugs here and there, right? It's not feeling like yet another email I have to open and read, and it becomes almost noise.
Yeah.
It's more just tidbits here and there about this is how this benefit can be used, and don't forget to do that, and that kind of thing. I think that's the best way to do that.
Okay, super good. Because again, my mind went straight into emails, and I don't know if anyone else is like at this. You see how even we're rolling our eyes? We're like, oh Lord, emails. Whether it's us making it or ChatGPT at your discretion, you know what I'm saying? But either way, that type of stuff coming out, I can just imagine on the employee front, they're just like, oh God, here comes Melissa sharing the news about the benefits, and Kate again from HR with the benefits gospel. So I love that. Just have it a part of like their everyday work life without having to draw too much attention, but it's giving a signal that it's still a thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Fab. Okay. So in your experience, Melissa, like which benefits do you feel are employees not taking full advantage of that could probably improve their quality of life if only they knew about it? Because benefits can possibly feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're not in the HR world or specifically like a benefits administrator. I know a lot of HR folks who are just like, actually, I'm not even well versed in this for real. And so send them off to another person. But in your experience, are there facets of benefits that are just not touched on enough? Employees just have no idea and could really make a difference?
Yeah. And there's so many things I want to go with that.
Okay.
I'll focus myself. Well, because I also think another reason employees don't enroll sometimes is just they think their wallet share is less than it is, right? Or that a benefit's going to cost more. So that's another reason that I see as a barrier, that if we can help employees understand what the return on that, purchasing that benefit could be, especially the benefits I think of that are being underused, to answer your question,
Go for it.
are the supplemental health benefits, right? And so many of them have a wellness benefit built in, right? If they can get that just by going and doing their usual doctor's appointments, getting a dental hygiene checkup, right? Those kinds of things that help to pay those premiums back, so that then when somebody's daughter falls and has a concussion, they can also have the benefit of that, right? And it really helps to pay those bills that aren't covered by your medical carriers, right? It's filling that gap. I think for the supplemental health benefits specifically, those are the ones that employees are expecting to see based on the research, but they're still not enrolling in them. The participation is substantially lower than life and disability insurance across the board. So there's definitely a knowledge gap there. And I'm not sure if it's just a matter of time because they're newer products or what that is. But that's where I feel like we need to spend the most amount of time educating on the value in order to help them really appreciate that value and use the benefits.
Okay. So Melissa, you mentioned supplemental benefits, but what are those exactly? Like, I could imagine there could be a million versions of that, but what would you say are the more common ones that you would see?
And, good call out, Kate, because honestly, every industry and every company uses different vernacular. So supplemental health benefits are the accident, critical illness, and hospital indemnity products specifically that I'm referring to.
Okay, that's helpful. And so me being an HR person, I'm in the field and I know all the things that are a part of our benefits, whether I had a hand in picking it or not. What can I do to be more well-versed in that, right? Let's just say I'm not a specific benefits person, but everyone in my company is looking to me to explain it. I could imagine it's someone who's 26, just now joining, the company's health insurance because they've been on their parents, or it's someone who's a bit more senior who are now having to be a person who's caring for their own parents, and they're just like, 100%. I'm just not sure where to go. So as an HR person, what would you advise for me to do to be more educated in that, and I can then have that shared to an employee in layman terms?
Yeah. I love this question. I mean, this just happened to me the other day. I had an employee come to me with a scenario and I was like, I should know this, right? Because I think when we empower managers of people and leaders of people to understand the benefits, then when people come to them, it's just a really powerful message around the importance of them, right? So what can you do? I would say lean on your carriers, right? The lean on the people that are providing you those products to your employees to help understand and educate you on all the ins and outs of them, the value. There's so much material out there that carriers want to share, right? And they would be more than happy to do knowledge sharing sessions for managers. The other thing that I'm a huge fan of is insurance industry events, going to things like LIMRA, where we're actually learning all about supplemental health benefits at one conference, or disability and LTC at another, right? I love doing those types of things, reading all that research they put out around why employees want the benefits they want and how they best like to be communicated to. So to be like a student of the business, a student of the industry, and just keep that knowledge fresh, I think is really, really important.
Okay, hold up, Melissa. Let's take that back just a little bit, because I love a field trip. You talked about an insurance industry. I have never heard of that in my life. All 36 years of it. Oh my gosh. So please, what is that exactly, and how does one find this?
Yeah, so there's several different types of industries out there, right? Like I think of SHRM, okay. LIMRA. These are things. Now, LIMRA is more about life insurance and all of that, but they go into all the supplemental health, but they do research. Like that is their core purpose, and delivering research and bringing the industry together. Last month, I just went to HR Tech in Las Vegas. That's a conference that's held every year, and you learn about all the different technology that's out there for HR teams. So again, having access to those, like once you go to one, you will get information on a regular basis that can be overwhelming, but it's good info, right? Signing up for those newsletters and things like that, where you can get just nuggets, right? So when you do have the time, you can actually lean into it.
So that's amazing, Melissa. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I could also imagine, too, there's obviously virtual and in-person opportunities as well. So no matter where you're distributed as an HR person, you will have an opportunity to just show up, participate. And like you said, once you see one, you can find yourself going to another.
Yes, for sure.
Love that.
And again, Prudential being an insurance carrier, I love nothing more than when an HR team's like, hey, can you like help us understand this? Can you come talk to our managers at this plant and teach them so they can then teach, their employees about it. We love to support those types of things. So definitely that's an easy way to lean in, because you're already paying them for the services they're providing, right?
That's
Take advantage of them for sure.
Yeah, look, Melissa, the fact that I might have you back again and come to an all hands. Like, everybody, this is Melissa. Melissa knows the things. And so listen, so I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so actually I have another question for you that has to do with how an HR team presents not just open enrollment, but to your point, just benefits in general. When it comes to considering benefits as an independent entity or having it included a part of like a compensation package, what is your take? What is your take on that? Because I know it can go either way. Some folks are like, hell yeah, have that a part of the comp package. It matters. It definitely does. And others are like, absolutely not. Like, that's a necessity. I'm owed this, and that should not be included in the conversation. Or there's option C. I live in option C, and maybe we don't know it, and I can figure it out now. But how would you feel about that, and the best way it should be presented to a team?
That's an interesting. So I have always thought of it as a total rewards package, right? Because I think where the second option you explained misses out is that employees need to understand that employers are putting a lot of time and effort into selecting the benefits they're sharing, and they put costs toward, right? There's money that goes into these things. So they need to understand that full picture. Yes, I do believe that it is a choice that an employee is looking at for sure when they're selecting their, like, if they're looking for a new job. So therefore they might consider them entitled pieces, but not every employer is able to offer every benefit, right? So that's becoming a critical competitive component as well. So I think of it as a total rewards package for sure.
I think I agree. And look, for those who are listening or watching, do not be shy to share what it is that your employer is doing for benefits. Look, everything's going up from milk, eggs, gas, childcare. Benefits is also a part of that. And I've been in conversations where an employer is not sure, should we tell the employees that we're actually absorbing the 10% increase so that they don't have to get an increase on their end? Tell the people. Transparency is something that everyone can appreciate. And I think it'll make them appreciate and understand just how serious open enrollment is and just how much work, to your point, goes into the process. And, it wins for everyone.
For sure. Couldn't agree more.
Love. Well, so look, in the world of technology that we're in today, open enrollment is stressful as all hell. It's stressful for us. It's stressful. And in a lot of companies, we can be in spaces maybe like Prudential where there's a full fleshed out team, or there's other spaces where it's a one man, one them, one woman show, right? Yes. And so in instances like this, how can HR pros leverage technology to make the enrollment process smoother?
So I am a huge HR tech geek. Like, I love all of it.
Okay.
So I would say if you're not in a system that has capabilities, please be looking for bells and whistles that, you might not have today, because I think there's a ton of variety that's out there that has ability to not only make employee login experience easier, right? Like, if they can't get into it, you're going to have so much call volume.
Yes.
And it's going to be a problem, right? Or please tell me you're not, but if you are one of those shops that are maybe still using paper, because we're asked to provide paper enrollment forms and we get spreadsheets, so I know it's happening. Please consider looking at technology for this. There are very inexpensive options that do a really nice job of just making it streamlined and simple, and employees can, enroll online and all the things. Now, with that said, there are versions that have amazing decision support tools, abilities to help educate in the enrollment flow. So at point of time, you're looking at the screen, and on the screen is the supplemental health product for accident. And you're like, what is accident insurance? I thought that was what my car insurance was for, right? Right there's a little video you can click and it tells you, what accident insurance is. So there's all these fun things that are available that I would definitely lean on your, current vendors if you have them, but also carriers are doing a really great job partnering with tech vendors like this so that they can bring them as almost a value add for you, right? So Prudential specifically, we offer 2 decision support options for customers that don't have one of those platforms that has it embedded, right? One of them is a digital decision support tool. So the employee can self-serve, go through, they answer a few questions about themselves, and they can get a recommendation, take it up or not, right? But it's a tool they have. The other thing we offer is a service that allows employees to meet with credentialed benefit counselors virtually.
Okay.
And they can do it at a time that works for them. So they schedule the appointment, and they can schedule it for like 7 p.m. after they put the toddler to bed so that their spouse can sit with them and ask questions of a person who is a benefit expert, right? Takes pressure off of the HR teams. And we do that for customers, as long as they have supplemental health benefits, it doesn't matter how big or small you are. So that is a service that we provide. And I know my carrier friends out in the space have similar options. So if you're one of those smaller shops where it's all on you, I would definitely ask your, selected carriers, what's out there? What can you do for me? Because there are things for sure.
That is amazing. Prudential, I was not familiar with your game. That is really, really cool. No, seriously, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I live for that. Well, speaking of game, I love to have a good time, child. So hearing all these things that we talked about with open enrollment, I kind of want to throw some like scenarios at you, Melissa, because I'm sure you've heard of a million. The ones you can speak about and the ones you can comment on because, we are still on air. But I want to ask you some things. And based on this like quote unquote nightmare scenario, I want you to give advice on how an HR person should handle it.
Okay.
All right. Fix this enrollment fail. That's the name of the episode.
Love it.
Okay, cool. So first one is an employee emails you 2 weeks after open enrollment has closed and says they forgot to pick anything. Melissa, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do now? I need insurance.
I mean, this happens? What are you talking about? Just kidding. So again, hopefully, like going back to what we were talking about earlier, hopefully you've already built in a silent period, right? So you have that time frame so you can say, that's fine, go ahead and enroll. We'll make an exception for you this time, right? You're using that messaging, so they don't know about this special period that you've set up. But it definitely should be something you have a plan for prior to OE, right? And I think if you don't have any benefits that are doing some sort of like special, you can get, extra life insurance without evidence of insurability, then why not, right? Let them go ahead and let them enroll for sure. But I'm also on the carrier side. So of course I want, and my job is enrollment. So I want people to enroll. So take that with a grain of salt. But again, I do think that pre-planning for that is really important.
But Fran, what if the silent period has been silenced? We're done.
Oh yeah. So it's even that late.
Look, we love our people, but we have them sometimes. So what if it's like done? Like it's meaning like 2 weeks have come and gone and we in December about to celebrate the holidays. Yeah. What can I say as an HR person to, I guess, soften the blow?
So if you had an active enrollment strategy where like now they've like don't have health insurance, I think that's something we need to consider. Everybody, unfortunately, with the way the current health insurance industry is run, they have to have it, right? Yeah. So I think there's something where you're going to need to have conversations then with, if you're using a benefits technology, can we allow this in person to enroll? Can I do it on the back end for them? There's lots of ways around that. If it's too late, absolutely not. You can't do it. That's where you just have to have that honest conversation about, here's your options. If you have a qualifying life event, right, you can don't forget about those, right? And here's what that looks like. And just make sure that next year you're in on it.
You better be the first in line. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So when there's a will, there's a will. When there's a will, there is a way. So there's options even after, but just know options are few. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. We have, employees complain they never saw the enrollment email, but you sent at least 5. How do you recover and not lose your sanity, but gently remind that you in fact have sent the things for the people to read?
Yeah. So to me, when I think about this specific scenario, I'm hoping that no one's just sending 5 emails, right? I'm hoping that there are multiple channels, we call them multi-channel communications, that you're trying to reach your employees, whether that be through like Slack or Teams messaging or through, we do text messaging as well, right? We even have social media capabilities where we can put it into social media feeds. We have lots of really fun and like engaging ways to get employees where you can be honest, right? You can say, right, these are all the ways we did this. Can you double check for me that you don't have that in your inbox? Because if not, we need to, make sure that something's not going wrong with these messages. I would also look at just how many employees are giving you that feedback, right? Because again, that could be pointing out that employees just aren't checking those emails, or maybe there's some more they're like a white labeling issue, right? There's could be multiple reasons that employees are experiencing that. So I think really acknowledging their concerns,
Right.
but then being honest just about all the ways you've tried to communicate, and making sure that they did in fact get some of them is really important.
Okay, that is a lot to do, but if it's not us, then who? Because at this point, it's
Yeah.
like there's always something to learn, assess, and then implement the next go round.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to just say it because you said it's a lot to do, and I totally hear you. Again, a lot of Ben tech companies have like built-in messaging that you can actually program, right? So and a lot of carriers have partnerships that they're willing to help you with this, so it takes some weight off of your plate. But you can program it so they get sent out on scheduled dates. So you don't have to remember to do those things. Like it's almost here, like time's running out, those types of messages, right? They're really important to get out there. And there's ways to do that where it doesn't mean the HR person has to like sit there and manually type the emails and make sure they go out. So
No, that's helpful. No, and I'm so glad you did. Because at this point, there are no excuses, y'all. Look, come close. The things are there. The tools are there. It may seem a lot in volume, but to Melissa's point, preparation, strategy, a timeline that makes a lot of sense. Don't start the day before. Start a few months ahead. Like we mentioned, open enrollment tends to be in the fall. You got your little pumpkin spice. That's cute. Do open enrollment, but when you're getting popsicles at the beach, you should start talking about the things and about the benefits. And honestly, between talking about the different platforms, vendors, supplemental benefits, and all that jazz, I definitely think this episode is going to be a great kickoff start for you to get the motion going and have your team feel real confident about the benefits that they're signing up for. And so, Melissa, I am so thankful, girl, that you came here today, because even for me, I'm like, hold on, do I know the things? I definitely feel like I'm walking out of this with more answers than questions. I'm so thankful for your time and all that and explaining it and in such a fun way, because I could not stop cackling. And I apologize if the cackle was loud, because you are a time, Melissa, a time.
Kate, I will do this anytime with you again. Anytime you want to talk enrollment, I will be there with you.
I appreciate it. And look, for anyone else who has tips, tricks, best practices, or anything like that, I am all ears. I definitely want to hear. And of course, have this community where we can share it amongst others. Be sure to send some communication, email, Slack, whatever. But for now, send an email to peopleperson@morningbrew.com. And of course, we'll see you next time.